And good morning. My name is Ryan Belmore, and I'm the owner and publisher of What's Up Noop. And today is October 25th. We are continuing our conversations with the candidates all month long. What's Up Noop has been bringing you conversations with candidates all the way from congressional district down to school committee and everything in between. We have chatted with dozens of candidates, and so you can find our full schedule as well as all of our videos on whatsupnoop.com. They are also as podcasts. Bring my friend Frank Prosnitz up here. And Frank, we are just less than 2 weeks away from the general election. People are already voting. People can visit vote.ri.gov to see their sample ballot, find out how to early vote, find out that it's too late to mail vote, to find out where they're going to vote on November 8th. And most importantly, as I said, see your sample ballot.
I've been looking at, I decided to take a look at every sample ballot for every community. And a lot of them have a ton of stuff from actually one community that's expanding the size of its council, some term limits, some that are looking for 4-year terms versus 2-year terms, lots of school bond issues. It's really important that people take a look at those sample ballots to understand what's on them besides the candidates and get to know who the candidates are. That's why what we're doing is so important. And go in and vote intelligently. That most important.
That's it. And joining us today, we want to make the most time with him, is Governor Dan McKee. And good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Frank.
Hey,
good morning, Dan. How are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep. Can you hear us?
Looks like we're frozen. We can.
Yeah, I can. All right. We will take you down, Governor, and we will let you try to reconnect here with your good old Wi-Fi, and we'll see if we can connect with the governor. Governor Dan McKee will join us here shortly. A little programming note while we have a second is we were expected to be joined by Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos at 11 a.m. this morning. She will be joining us instead at 11 a.m. Next Tuesday, November 1st. So.
And that'll be. We also have Seth Magaziner later that day. So again, we're talking to a lot of the candidates, and it's a big deal. Also, I think we need to note we have invited all of the candidates to come on and be part of our interviews, including the Republican gubernatorial candidate who had committed to coming on, then canceled. That's okay. And said they would reschedule, and have not responded to phone calls and to emails to do that. So if she wants to get in touch with us, we'll consider it. But 4 or 5 efforts is enough.
Yeah, I'm hoping to wrap these up next week. On Tuesday, we have now Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos as well as Seth Magaziner. And next week, let's try the governor here. Governor, how are you?
I am doing good. I hope that
we have a
better connection, but I think we should be good right now.
Governor, when are we going to bring high speed to all of Rhode Island?
We clearly have got to bring some to Newport area.
Yes.
I know we got some money in the budget. Announced a pretty good investment that's going to go on Aquidneck Island.
Excellent. Go ahead there, Frank.
How are you? First of all, how are you doing? You're making it through the campaign fine, I would suspect.
It is a different world, Frank. You know, the work that you do to kind of every day you get up to try to do a good job for the state, and then you compound that with certainly the complication of campaigns, and it's a juggling act, but we're getting through. We got a couple of weeks left, and happy to be here, and I know you're encouraging people to exercise their right to vote, and I am
to vote
as well.
smart, to vote smart, and know what's on the ballot. My big question is looking out into the future, what your vision is for the next 4 years.
Yeah, it's pretty well spelled out. It's, in the Rhode Island 2030 plan, Frank, and I've encouraged people to go to that site, ri2030.com. And it's a multitude of, issues that need to be addressed in the state, whether it has to do with health or education or transportation or the business, the small business, the green economy, the blue economy, our seniors, our veterans. It's an all-in effort. And the vision is one that says that we just continually get better and better in the state. And over the last 20 months, we've been able to set the table not only with that plan, the RI 2030 plan, but also we've been able to manage the state in a way that really is providing some great opportunities for us. And hopefully we're going to be able to talk about several of those. But I just came from a press event announcing L.N.S. Slater improvements at the L.N.S. Slater Hospital, which is a can that's been kicked down the road for years. And we've been addressing that and separating two hospitals, making sure that we're able to, service the patients that need to be served, but also making sure the taxpayer is protected by, we're going to be protecting, I think, $30 to $40 million of federal revenue that we weren't collecting when I became governor in March of 2021. And there's a whole many series of public and private investments that we're positioned to make that are going to really help us achieve the goals that we're setting in that RI 2030 plan.
I just saw the most recent ad by your opponent, who was discounting abortion or reproductive rights as an issue in Rhode Island, saying it's all been settled, and 70-some-odd% of the people voted to support Roe v. Wade and all of that. That's not necessarily true, is it?
No, it's we were told that in the hearings, recent Supreme Court hearings in the Senate, where that same thing was said by Justice Barrett and also Justice Kavanaugh, right? That where they said, "Oh no, it's baked into the system, and no changes are coming." And yet, all of a sudden now, that whole issue is up in the air in terms of choice and a woman's rights. And to me, choice is choice. I mean, if you choose, one way or another, but my opponent wants to choose for all women, and that's going to get reflected in our policies. We know just based on what's happening in Washington and what's happening around the country, when this extreme right agenda is starting to whispered about, we know that they're going to act on it. So we can't trust individuals that are associating themselves with Governor DeSantis or the former governor of Illinois that she worked for, or Donald Trump, or any of those. If you feel as though the woman should have a right to choose, we got to be very concerned. Running is ordering the Supreme Court to take away that right.
Governor, you mentioned your 2030 plan outlined some of the opportunities that lie ahead if you were to be elected governor. What are some of those opportunities? Some highlights.
Yeah, so I think that Frank was talking about some of the issues that we need to make sure that we're continually addressing, protecting people's rights in the state. I mean, that's going to continue. But there are economic issues that I really believe that my number one goal is to work towards helping people earn more money, families earn more money, and that's in our budgets, right? That's what's been approved. So we're investing in communities around the state of Rhode Island. I think top of the show, we're talking about investing in internet services and around the state. The Quinnipiac Island is an area that really needs that investment. We're going to be making that investment. But we're investing, we ran, when I came into office, we were one of the lowest vaccinated states in the country. Today, we're the very best. We have a recovering economy quicker than anywhere in the Northeast, second in the country. We have the lowest unemployment rate in the history of the state of Rhode Island. And we managed a surplus that was larger than ever managed in the state. My first budget, which is consistent with what I did as a mayor in Cumberland. So now we're investing those dollars in both public and private strategies. Like I was just talking to major investment. We're using surplus dollars to invest over $170 million in Elena Slater, which is a hospital that services our most needy. And that whole hospital was, they're very uncertain where that future was going to go. But we're also investing. Yesterday, for instance, give me a little time here. I would need a little time to kind of outline these things. But yesterday we announced $165 million on a public-private partnership for a new health lab, state health lab in the state of Rhode Island. It's been long overdue. The health lab that we've been working out of during the pandemic, 1978, and clearly not up to the speed that we need to be at. But we also, on that project that's going to go on I-195 land in the Jewelry District, we're doing a private partnership there where Brown University is going to take space, and then we're going to open up a whole life science investment. And those are dollars. That 165 million is just the beginning there. We're investing in the port down in Galilee, over $40 million to shore up that seaport, which is a fishing port, which is one of the top 10, I believe, in the Northeast, in terms of fisheries. And then as a result, private investment is coming there. We're investing in Quonset. So these are all areas where jobs are. I think we're almost up to 13,000 jobs in Quonset. But we're going to be investing in New York very seriously. And we're making about a $60-70 million investment there. That's with some of the federal dollars. But we're also investing in a new seaport in East Providence, which is going to bring jobs. And each one of these projects is going to bring jobs, employ people at good prevailing wages. And then afterwards, they're going to we're a new seaport in East Providence on South Key, they call it, which is going to be a supply chain for our offshore wind. We're going to invest heavily in our offshore wind economy. 1,000 megawatts just went out for procurement, which is going to go in the offshore wind, which is going to lead us in the country as well, continue to lead in that. When we're done with the offshore wind investments and the jobs that are going to provide, it's going to electrify as many as 500,000 homes in the state of Rhode Island. We're also investing in Pawtucket in terms of the train station, in terms of opening up a new train station. And we invested in this budget. The supplement was already there, but we're also investing in a athletic facility and housing. And we're going to put a bridge across the water to help the city of Pawtucket. I'm not turning my back on the city of Pawtucket as others have. And so we're also in city of Providence. We're using tools that were in place to turn lights on the Superman building. And that's not going to be a small thing. That's about 280 apartments. Several of them will be affordable. Many of them, most of them will be fair market value, which is good to have locations for fair market value residents. And they're going to go in downtown Providence, and they're going to spend money there, and they're going to support our small businesses, and they're going to work in Providence. And that we're going to put thousands of people to work during that process. So when you start, we're going to put a roof on the old dump, the new amp, so I don't have to worry about going to a basketball game and worry about the ceiling leaking. We are taking care of many, many loose ends, many cans that have been kicked down the road. We have 3 to 5 years of economic growth that's built into the budgets alone. And that was just a sampling of what we're doing. Not only in our public buildings, for instance, the Elena Slater, I just mentioned that, the health lab. How about the fact that we're going to put in over $47 million into restore the State House? That's all layered into the budget, all approved. And that's a gem. That's a diamond for the state of Rhode Island that we don't want to lose. And we want to attract people to come to the state. We're doing a new headquarters for our state police that got approved, almost a $28 million investment there. And then we're retrofitting different spaces, the areas down in Portsmouth area that have had a state police headquarters that has not been upgraded in decades, and we're taking care of that. So that's just a small listing of the investments we're going to make. And I hope that we'll spend a few minutes talking about education as well. But I'm happy to respond to any questions you have on what I've just laid out. But this is, and the surplus that we managed too. Well, let's talk about that quickly. This is really important things as you come into an election cycle, is actually what are you getting done and how you're spending your time. In a very short period of time, we are tying up loose ends and cans that have been kicked down the road for a long period of time. For instance, we use part of the surplus to fund a pension that was borrowed back, a pension that was borrowed and not paid back in the banking crisis. $63 million we put in to shore up the funds that were due from the banking crisis, from the surplus into our state pension. That's going to save municipalities money every year. It's going to save the state about $6 million a year. Not only that, but we're putting money into areas that are important. For instance, our surplus dollars, we were able to accelerate the car tax. So we've eliminated the car tax in the state of Rhode Island. And under my watch, we've funded almost 50% of that $200 and some odd million. This year alone, $75 million of tax relief on vehicles alone, not just the vehicles that are in your garage or in your driveway, but how about all the vehicles on the small businesses that are no longer going to have to pay a car tax as a result of the way that we've managed and the way that we've been able to work with the General Assembly leadership. That is just a real small amount of what we're doing. I would like to talk about what we're investing in small business. I want to get you to weigh in because I don't want to dominate the whole conversation. And also, let's spend a little time on my background and the work that I've done in education, and why I will say that we will hit Massachusetts levels on public education by 2030. I'm the only person in the state that has had the experience. I'm the governor that has the experience to actually get that done and work not only in Providence, but in districts throughout the state of Rhode Island and communities, making it a 52-week-a-year effort in our education. All right, the microphone's back to you. I think I dominated enough. But there's a lot more to share, Ryan. I mean, there's been a great deal of work that has been done, and the prospects over the next 4 years. Just one of the things. Think of what I just outlined, and there's more to that, right? With our gun legislation, with protecting women's rights, with making sure that we're investing in our mental health, in our child care. Alone, you use the surplus to bring over 115,000 families, $250 checks per child up to 3 children. All those checks have already been delivered, and very few have been returned because the addresses were correct, because it was based on who filed taxes last year. Families were getting up at $750 to help them walk through some of the inflationary issues that we have. In addition to that, I've intervened in the Public Utility Commission more than any elected official in the history of the state of Rhode Island. And now we are putting forward a plan to help offset the energy costs by investing up to date, probably close to $40 million to help the bottom 50,000 residents in the state of Rhode Island to actually offset any increase in that space. And that's been a political, football here for the last couple of weeks. My opponent is proposing something that is not even, legal wise, because it'll be contested. And her idea is to defer and not save a ratepayer a penny, and then expose the state of Rhode Island to multi-million dollars worth of lawsuits that the Rhode Island Energy will be forced to, if you ever even step down that road. And yet we're putting real money in to help people offset those things. So energy, schools, a small business. I just outlined the investments that we're going to be involved in. It is our moment. Rhode Island has great momentum. We're going to take care of that. We're going to ask the people to vote for us to keep this momentum going now, with the ballots are open, and on November 8th. We even talked about the bonds that are on there, Frank and Ryan.
Well,
a lot of work has been done, and like I just said, I just shared about 10 minutes of that with you, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
So I actually want to jump to a subject that's altogether different, or somewhat different. And that's, as I'm sitting here thinking and hearing about all the investment, we also have the court decision on truck tolls. What's the state's next step? And there are multiple questions, of course. One option, of course, is that to extend the tolls to cars. Another option is to eliminate the tolls altogether, or maybe there's some other option What does the state do from here on that?
Well, we're appealing, and we've already filed the appeal, Frank. I think that's an intelligent thing to do, and then we'll take a look at the case we have. This is not the first time that we've have appealed a decision by the court that made the decision, a month ago. So we're going to appeal, and then there's two options, right? We win the appeal, and we're going to continue the roadworks program, which has been important to us. I mean, just on the bridges alone, we've taken 27% of the bridges were unsafe, and now we're down to 17%. In the next 2 or 3 years, we'll be down to less than 10%. And like I said, we're investing surplus money. I think I mentioned, I don't know, $100 million to free up $400 million of road, improvements coming from the federal government. That match loosened up $400 million. So we're going to continue to do the improvements to our infrastructure. So either we're going to prevail on that court case and keep the tolls going, or we're going to, not prevail, and we're going to have to find other avenues in the budget to keep the roadworks program going. So right now I am not supporting and will not support taxing or tolling cars or expanding that program any further than what it was originally approved by the General Assembly. And so, those are the two options. We're going to appeal.
So I don't want to get confused by your answer, because you said right now. Does that mean that at some point you might consider that?
No, I'm not. I've been on the record saying there's not going to be an expansion of the tolling in the state of Rhode Island. I will not support expansion. I think the General Assembly leadership has been very clear on that. So I right now it's appeal, win the appeal, and keep the program going as it currently is. If you're not prevailing on the appeal, then I'll be sitting down with the General Assembly leadership, as I will be in the first week of the session, because the tolls are shut off right now. We're anticipating that there's going to be about a $30 million shortfall on projected revenue. And we're going to have to make some determinations about whether we reduce the program during this time frame, or we fund that program through surplus dollars. And my ask of the General Assembly would be to keep the program funded with surplus dollars as we go through the legal process.
I have one more question, Ryan, that I wanted to get to, and then because it's, I think, somewhat related. The car tax. This was a tax that was collected by municipalities, and the money going into the municipalities. By eliminating the car tax, the state was going to reimburse the communities for their lost revenue. Is that sustainable going forward well into the future?
It is. And not only did we accelerate that, and like I said, we put 70, I want to repeat this because somebody said, are you actually giving tax relief in the state of Rhode Island? I think on a per capita basis, we're competitive with any state and probably beating most states in terms of tax relief. $75 million, again, I'll repeat, of new tax relief on a budget that we retained over $275 million of tax relief. And we know that later into the next budget that we've got those dollars already pre-budgeted in a way where we're not going to have to tax anybody to keep that car tax relief in place. So we've seen, and I think you're alluding to this, Frank, where we got up to halfway up the ladder when Governor Kacheri was there. We got hit with certainly a fiscal economic problem during that time frame, and then we reduced all that tax relief down to zero, and then put all that on the backs of the municipalities and the taxpayers and the communities. Being a former mayor, I knew how difficult that was. So where we are right now, the tax relief, we're in good shape. We are going to keep that tax relief in place. We are going to keep our competitive edge here, Frank and Ryan. No state that we compete with, which is primarily Connecticut and Massachusetts, we beat them in that area. We are more competitive on our business community there and more competitive for the residents that live in our state. Both those states have car taxes We have no car tax in the state of Rhode Island, and I'm going to keep it that way.
Governor, got to keep you on schedule here, so I'll wrap up with this. First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden will be in the state tomorrow. Why is that important, and what do you plan on telling her about Rhode Island?
Yeah, so I think it's incredibly important, Ryan, in terms of the work that we're going to do on education. I am going to, and we're already, there's a bond to support the Bay campus at URI, $100 million bond. Please vote for that. We can afford to pay for that. There's another $250 million bond on for schools to leverage the school construction right in Newport. I was at the groundbreaking for Newport High School. That's going to help the Quidnick Island. Please vote for that $250 million. In addition to that, $50 million of the surplus has gone in to increase that $250 million to $300 million of relief of support for our school buildings. So back to Dr. Jill Biden, coming into the state as a teacher herself. My wife, Susan, is a career teacher. They're going to partner together on tomorrow. And we're going to talk about the investments we're not only going to make in our pre-K through 12, but on pre-K alone, in our budget, we have a plan to get to 5,000 students in pre-K by 2028. That's going to be very important to us. But Dr. Biden is very interested in teacher recruitment and retention. We are interested in that. Rhode Island College has been in the past, and it's going to be in the future, a world-class teacher education, preparing teachers in the country, and we're going to do it right at Rhode Island College. So when we start talking about investing in CCRI, Rhode Island College, URI, and then the plan that I have is going to be actually creating transition housing on Rhode Island College campus so that teachers and nurses that are coming out of that are graduating, going into jobs at early levels of salaries, they need some transition housing. We're going to supply that right on the Rhode Island College campus. So when we start talking about the Dr. Jill Biden, this is really important for the state of Rhode Island. We have a relationship. I've been in the Oval Office. We have a relationship with the President of the United States. And we're only securing that more by having Dr. Jill Biden come in and talk to the First Lady of Rhode Island, Susan McKee, who is a reading specialist, and literacy is going to be one of her top projects over the next 4 years as the First Lady, and connecting in with the First Lady, Biden, is going to be a tremendous opportunity for us to not only to elevate Rhode Island College as we rethink that campus, but also it fits in to the entire education model and plan that I've been able to get off the ground as a mayor and then support as a lieutenant governor. Now as governor, we get to step in on education in a way that I quite frankly don't think any governor has ever had the ability to do, because no one's had the experience that I've had in this area.
Well, Governor, I'm going to hold you there because I know you have an event to get to, but I appreciate you taking the time to join us. We have chatted with your independent opponents. Your Republican opponent refuses to come on and answer questions with us and talk about these topics with us. So we appreciate you taking the time to do so.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Certainly, as this cycle ends on the campaign cycle, I am asking people to support, my candidacy with their vote, and also supporting the other Democrats that are on the slate with us to keep this momentum going and to support the General Assembly in the same way. We have momentum. I've been around for a little while, right? And we have momentum in this state that we've never seen before. And we no longer have to be the state that's first in and last out of economic downturns. We are actually leading the country in recovering right now from the pandemic. And we're healthier than we were a year and a half ago. We're safer in many ways. Our economy is stronger. And now we're working into the education piece as with the pandemic behind us in many ways as we opened up our schools in September. And then the equity piece that we never even talked about on this thing, we're going to make sure that we increase people's incomes across the board, all 39 cities and towns, and every community that makes up our communities. And I'm going to be really happy and thrilled to be able to partner in with your audience and with the people on Aquidneck Island, all across the state of Rhode Island as well. So thank you, Ryan.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Governor. We will talk to you soon. Good luck over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
That is Governor Dan McKee. We appreciate him taking the time to join us. If you want to re-listen or re-watch this interview at any time, you can do so on whatsupnuke.com. Thanks for watching.